Well, it's still getting messier and messier in the It Ends With Us feud between co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint.
The entertainment world is absolutely buzzing with one of the most dramatic Hollywood feuds we've seen in a long time. It's a tale of lawsuits, behind-the-scenes power struggles, and jaw-dropping allegations. On one side, you've got Justin Baldoni, actor, director, and producer, fighting to defend not only his reputation, but also his entire career. On the other, Blake Lively, a beloved industry powerhouse, is battling claims that she orchestrated a calculated attempt to sabotage both Baldoni and the film they worked on together, It Ends With Us. Throw in Ryan Reynolds, one of the most iconic Hollywood stars, and you've got a cocktail of drama so potent, it's hard to look away. But wait, there's more. This isn't just about two actors butting heads. This is about lawsuits worth hundreds of millions, accusations of manipulation, and some of the wildest claims to ever come out of a movie set. Let's start at the core of it all. Justin Baldoni has filed a lawsuit against Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist Leslie Sloan. The number attached to this legal battle? A staggering 400 million. That's almost 500 million people, but what could possibly lead to such an astronomical claim? According to Baldoni, this isn't just a petty squabble. His lawsuit alleges civil extortion, defamation, and even contract-related breaches. If you're wondering how this all started, it traces back to the production of It Ends With Us, a film adaptation of the best-selling book by Colleen Hoover. What was supposed to be a career-defining project for both stars quickly spiraled into chaos, with Baldoni claiming that Lively used her star power to take over the production and wreak havoc on set.
You're not kidding when you say this is getting messier. The author of that book deleting her Instagram account, another who plays Baldoni's sister in the film being harassed online for siding with Blake.
Baldoni alleges that things began on a positive note, with both sides seemingly aligned on their vision for the movie. But according to him, everything took a sharp turn. Lively, who was cast as the lead in the film, allegedly pushed for more creative control than what's typically afforded to an actor. And not just a little extra input. Baldoni's lawsuit claims she rewrote entire scenes, redesigned her character's wardrobe, and even went as far as creating her own cut of the film, bypassing the director and editing team entirely. Imagine being the director and the producer of a movie only to find out that the lead actor decided to take your work and re-edit it without your knowledge. That's exactly what Baldoni says happened.
One of the most significant allegations in Baldoni's lawsuit is that Lively sought to gain control over the editing process of the film. This is important.
But wait, it gets even messier. The lawsuit alleges that Lively didn't stop there. Baldoni claims she leveraged her influence to have him excluded from promotional events for the film, which is a massive deal considering he wasn't just acting in the project, he was also one of its producers. According to Baldoni, this was a deliberate move to undermine him and damage his reputation. And while Lively's camp has denied these claims, Baldoni's team has reportedly submitted text messages and emails as evidence to back up their accusations. These messages allegedly show a pattern of behavior that paints a very different picture from the polished image many fans have of Lively.
They believe that it's a continuation of the smear campaign that Blake initially claims happened while they were promoting the film.
Now, let's talk about the lawsuit itself. Baldoni isn't just suing for his reputation. He's suing for what he claims are real, tangible losses. According to his legal team, Lively's actions didn't just cause personal embarrassment. They also cost him future opportunities. The lawsuit argues that her alleged manipulation and defamation have made him radioactive in the industry, leading to lost jobs and the collapse of potential collaborations. Considering the kind of money that flows through Hollywood, it's not surprising that the damages amount to such a massive figure.
That Justin won't be bullied by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So his lawyer told us that their recent court filings show how scared they are.
One of the most explosive claims in the lawsuit is that Lively allegedly extorted Baldoni and his team. According to the legal filing, she and Reynolds demanded that Baldoni take the fall for the film's negative press. The lawsuit alleges that as Lively faced backlash for her involvement in the movie, she and Reynolds drafted a public statement for Baldoni to release. This statement would have essentially placed the blame for all the drama squarely on Baldoni's shoulders. But when he refused to sign it, the gloves came off. Baldoni claims that this is when Lively and Reynolds decided to escalate their tactics, launching what he describes as a calculated campaign to ruin him both personally and professionally.
New video released by lawyers for actor Justin Baldoni shows unedited footage from the filming of It Ends With Us.
It's also worth noting that Baldoni's lawsuit takes aim at the timing of Lively's actions, accusing her of exploiting moments of crisis to maximize the impact of her moves. For example, the lawsuit alleges that Lively had legal papers served to Baldoni and his team while they were evacuating their homes during the devastating LA fires. Imagine trying to protect your family and belongings from a natural disaster, only to have process servers show up at your door with a lawsuit. Baldoni's team argues that this wasn't just a coincidence, but a deliberate effort to create a narrative of chaos and victimhood, painting Baldoni as the villain.
For most of his career, he has been a major proponent of feminism, of healthy masculinity. How does it feel for him, though?
And if you think that's bad, it only gets worse. Baldoni claims that one of the most shocking moments during production came when he discovered that Lively allegedly hadn't even read the book the movie was based on. According to the lawsuit, her lack of familiarity with the source material led to some of her more controversial creative decisions, which clashed with the original vision for the film. For instance, Baldoni's team alleges she Googled details about her character's appearance rather than diving into the book to understand her role. This, they claim, is part of why her creative changes were so disruptive to the project.
There he is, creepy Baldoni, getting close to her, obviously making small chatter not in character so as not to make the scene, which didn't require dialogue, awkward.
But perhaps the most personal allegation in the lawsuit involves a comment Lively allegedly made about Baldoni's appearance. According to the filing, Lively told Baldoni he should consider getting a nose job. For context, Baldoni has spoken publicly in the past about feeling insecure about his nose, which makes this alleged remark all the more cutting. Baldoni's team claims there's even video evidence of this exchange, which they plan to release as part of their legal defense. The idea that someone would make such a personal jab on set is shocking, especially considering the high-profile nature of the production.
Literally, I'm just asking the question, like, how are women allowed to do this, to take something and to make it sound like you survived, because that's what it sounded like to the public.
And then there's Ryan Reynolds, who is also named in the lawsuit. Baldoni alleges that Reynolds, who wasn't officially involved in the film's production, still managed to stir up trouble. According to Baldoni, Reynolds rewrote a key scene in the movie without authorization, further complicating an already tense environment. This revelation came during a press interview where Lively casually mentioned that Reynolds had helped with the script, a statement that Baldoni's team claims blindsided him. Imagine working tirelessly on a project, only to find out that someone who wasn't even part of the production team had made significant changes behind your back.
Now you have two sides here, right? So Baldoni says this was all an effort to hijack the film to get her way. Lively claims she was the victim of harassment in a hostile work environment.
You might be wondering why Baldoni didn't speak out sooner. According to his lawsuit, he was initially willing to let things slide for the sake of the movie. He claimed he wanted to focus on making the film a success and didn't want to focus on making the film a success and didn't want to derail the project by airing their dirty laundry. But when Lively filed her own lawsuit against him, alleging inappropriate behavior on set, Baldoni says he had no choice but to fight back. His legal team has described Lively's claims as not only false, but also part of a broader strategy to shift blame away from herself.
She also provided a cease and desist letter, asking them to cease, quote, all unlawful conduct, namely what they alleged is the, quote, harassing and retaliatory media and online campaign against.
What's particularly intriguing about this case is the way both sides are using the media to sway public opinion. Baldoni's team has released what they describe as untampered evidence, including text messages and video footage, to counter Lively's allegations. Meanwhile, Lively's camp has accused Baldoni of waging a smear campaign against her. Both sides are framing themselves as the victim, which makes it incredibly difficult to discern the truth. And with such high-profile names involved, the public is hanging on every new development, dissecting every scrap of evidence to try and make sense of the drama.
He's saying, look, if you look at this scene that was captured on tape, you'll see there's nothing nefarious going on. She says this actually proves her point. There's an argument that she is hiding her discomfort with what he's saying and doing, and she's just trying to finish the scene like any kind of professional. Which way you take it, which way you perceive it, again, that'll be up to a jury or the fact finder.
As this legal battle unfolds, it's clear that the stakes are incredibly high. This isn't just about money or even professional reputations. It's about power, influence, and the way Hollywood operates behind closed doors. Whether you're Team Blake or Team Justin, one thing is certain. This story is far from over. And with both sides digging in their heels, it seems we're only scratching the surface of what's to come. What really happened on the set of It Ends With Us? And will the truth ever fully come to light? Stay tuned, because this Hollywood showdown is only just heating up.
Explained that when Lively had filed her complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, She provided a copy of that to the defendants, meaning defendants like Justin Baldoni.
So, the drama surrounding Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively doesn't just stop with lawsuits and creative clashes. It plunges even deeper into the tangled web of Hollywood power plays, personal digs, and a narrative so shocking it's hard to believe it's real. As the story continues to unravel, it feels less like a professional dispute and more like a full-blown war between two of Hollywood's most recognizable stars, with careers, reputations, and millions of dollars on the line.
And he says, like, look, this is just, Hollywood is based on pure fear, cultivated by both of them and their very powerful friends in entertainment.
What makes this situation even more fascinating is how both sides are doubling down, releasing evidence, issuing public statements, and fighting for control of the narrative. It's a masterclass in celebrity damage control, and at the center of it all are two very different versions of the same story. On one hand, Baldoni insists he was the victim of a calculated smear campaign designed to destroy him and his work. On the other, Lively paints a picture of an unsafe, hostile working environment where she felt cornered and disrespected, and the more each side pushes their narrative, the murkier things get.
Now to the ongoing Hollywood drama everyone is talking about, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin.
Let's get into some of the more eye-popping details from Baldoni's lawsuit, starting with the claim that Lively wasn't just difficult to work with, she was allegedly actively plotting to derail the entire production. Baldoni's team has pointed to a 30-item list of demands that Lively supposedly presented to the production team midway through filming, a list that they claim was both unreasonable and borderline impossible to meet. According to Baldoni, this list wasn't just about professionalism or ensuring a smooth production. It was a carefully constructed trap designed to paint the production as incompetent while giving Lively an excuse to distance herself from the backlash the movie was starting to generate.
But this is such a interpretation of perspective, because I watched the footage, I'm sure we all have, and it's very easy to argue.
One of the most shocking allegations is that Lively demanded major changes to the way certain scenes were filmed, including the inclusion of an intimacy coordinator, a move Baldoni's team claims was unnecessary because such professionals were already on set for all relevant scenes. But Lively's camp fired back, saying the need for these changes came from Baldoni's own behavior, which she felt crossed personal and professional boundaries. It's a classic case of she said, and both sides have been scrambling to release evidence that supports their version of events.
I think this was a very dicey move, because I think this very much opens up interpretation to what Blake Lively is saying was uncomfortable, and the key word here, unwelcomed.
What's even more bizarre is the claim that Lively completely bypassed the normal production process by creating her own cut of the movie. According to Baldoni, this wasn't just a minor tweak. It was a full-scale re-edit that fundamentally altered the film's tone and message. And here's the kicker. Baldoni and his team were allegedly not even allowed to see this version of the movie until after it had been shown to a select group of industry insiders. Imagine being the director and producer of a film and finding out that someone else had taken your work and completely changed it without your input. That's the kind of power play Baldoni says he was up against.
But yeah, it's just getting super nasty, and it seems like he's not cowering to this attempted gag order.
Yeah, I don't really understand Blake Lively's point.
But perhaps the most jaw-dropping part of Baldoni's lawsuit is the allegation that Lively actively worked to turn the cast and crew against him. According to his legal team, Lively used her star power to influence other actors and key members of the crew, creating an environment where Baldoni was increasingly isolated. By the time the film's premiere rolled around, Baldoni claims he and his guests were relegated to a makeshift holding area in the basement, far away from the glitz and glamour of the main event. Photos of this alleged snub were even included in Baldoni's lawsuit, showing him and his team sitting at fold-out tables while the rest of the cast mingled upstairs.
They say Friedman may even be violating the New York rules of professional conduct for lawyers by doing all this. Quote, his conduct threatens to and will materially prejudice both the Lively case and the Wayfarer case by tainting the jury pool, because his statements are deliberately aimed at undermining the character, credibility, and reputation of numerous relevant parties.
And then there's the involvement of Ryan Reynolds, who, while not officially part of the production, has become a key figure in this legal battle. Baldoni's lawsuit accuses Reynolds of not only meddling in the creative process, but also using his influence to pressure Baldoni into taking responsibility for the film's struggles. According to Baldoni, Reynolds and Lively presented him with a pre-drafted public statement that would have essentially thrown him under the bus, absolving them of any blame for the movie's shortcomings. When Baldoni refused to sign the statement, the gloves came off, and the alleged campaign to ruin his reputation began in earnest.
And that also, they say, includes us responding in the public to the montage dancing video that we put out. Why? Because, quote, the Lively Party's counsel publicly described the contents of video footage relating to Ms. Lively's allegations as damning. Their statement continued, any woman who's been inappropriately touched in the workplace will recognize Miss Lively's discomfort.
One of the more puzzling aspects of the story is the inclusion of Taylor Swift in Baldoni's lawsuit. While Swift wasn't involved in the film in any capacity, Baldoni claims that Lively used her friendship with the pop star as part of her so-called takeover strategy. According to Baldoni, Lively referred to Swift and Reynolds as her dragons, comparing herself to the mother of dragons from Game of Thrones. This isn't just a throwaway line, it's a key part of Baldoni's argument that Lively was using her connections to some of the most powerful and influential figures in the entertainment industry to intimidate and undermine him.
This tool of a lawsuit or whatever to get it into public atmosphere, and now you're not going to allow me the chance to respond in the same avenue?
And let's not forget the infamous comment about Baldoni's nose. In what has been described as one of the most personal and hurtful moments during production, Lively allegedly told Baldoni he should consider getting a nose job. For Baldoni, who has spoken openly about his insecurities regarding his appearance, this comment wasn't just inappropriate, it was deeply offensive. His lawsuit claims that this moment was emblematic of the larger issues on set, where he felt belittled and disrespected by someone he had initially trusted as a collaborator.
Shutting down a woman's
She is claiming that there was harassment. He's saying none of it is true, never happened, never did.
As if all of this wasn't enough, Baldoni's lawsuit also accuses Lively of weaponizing the media to further her agenda. He claims that her team selectively leaked information to outlets like the New York Times, painting him as the villain while conveniently omitting key details that would provide context. Baldoni even took the unusual step of suing the New York Times directly, accusing the publication of libel and alleging that their coverage was biased and one-sided. The paper has denied these claims, insisting that their reporting was thorough and accurate, but the very fact that they're involved in this lawsuit speaks to how far-reaching this conflict has become. Of course, Lively's team hasn't taken these accusations lying down. In response to Baldoni's lawsuit, they've doubled down on their claims, describing his legal actions as part of a classic strategy to discredit a victim. They've accused Baldoni of engaging in what they call DARVO, an acronym that stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim, and Offender. In other words, they claim Baldoni is trying to flip the narrative by painting himself as the victim while casting doubt on Lively's allegations. They've also criticized Baldoni's decision to release unedited footage from the set, calling it a media stunt designed to manipulate public opinion rather than present evidence in court.
Sidebar, Blake Lively's team has denied all of these allegations. They have responded to this filing, this lawsuit, saying,
one of the most contentious pieces of evidence is the now infamous slow dance scene, which both sides have pointed to as proof of their respective claims. Baldoni's team says the footage shows nothing inappropriate, portraying a professional interaction between two actors working through a scene. But Lively's team insists the video is damning, arguing that it demonstrates her clear discomfort and Baldoni's disregard for boundaries. The fact that both sides are interpreting the same footage in completely different ways only adds to the confusion and raises questions about what really happened on set. And let's not overlook the financial stakes here. Baldoni isn't just suing for his reputation. He's suing for what he claims are real, measurable losses. His lawsuit argues that Lively's actions have caused significant damage to his career, costing him not only future opportunities, but also millions in potential earnings from the film itself. On the flip side, Lively's team has accused Baldoni of trying to shift blame for the movie's underperformance, suggesting that his legal actions are less about justice and more about salvaging his own image.
Blake Lively's team says that in showing this video, they are blaming the victim here. They also say that they prefer litigating this in court rather than in the public sphere.
As this saga continues to unfold, it's becoming increasingly clear that there's no easy resolution in sight. Both sides are deeply entrenched, and with so much at stake, neither seems willing to back down. The question now is how this will all play out in court and whether the truth will ever fully come to light. Will Baldoni's lawsuit expose a calculated campaign to destroy him, or will Lively's allegations of mistreatment and manipulation ultimately prevail? And how will this drama impact their careers moving forward? One thing's for sure, this is a Hollywood battle for the ages, and the world will be watching every step of the way. As the curtain falls on this episode, the drama between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively leaves us with more questions than answers. Who do you believe is truly pulling the strings behind the scenes? And how far will each side go to protect their reputation and career? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The conversation is just getting started. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more juicy celebrity gossip. Until next time, stay tuned and stay curious